What is up, folks? It's Will and John back again for another episode, another breakdown, and we've got a good one this week with UFC 231 from the Great North, the Six, one of the nicest places I've ever been to in Toronto, as Max Holloway faces off against the #1 contender in Brian T-City Ortega. What I'm just going to say first of all is we're doing this via audio because we are having an absolute mare video-wise with Skype, with my Wi-Fi seems to be cutting out willy-nilly, which is not great. So we're giving it a bash here in audio, and hopefully we can get these things fixed in the very near future. And then you can see my glorious big specs on my glorious big head, and John's glorious beard and his glorious face as well. So yeah, coming off last week's cards, a lot of work had to go into that for pics and videos and editing this for John and so on. So, but to be fair, we're not really any far forward because we've got a big card here. I'm sure we're watching some Cage Warriors film and stuff with the big card this weekend. But how did you enjoy the fights of the weekend, John, before we start getting into this UFC 231? And before I get into that, I'm just around. That was just the dog kicking the remote off the settee there, so that's all good. So nobody's dead. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, leave your picks, leave your bets. Anything you want to say, just leave it in the drop down box and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But John, how did you enjoy your weekend?
I enjoyed it. There was a lot of fights on, wasn't there? Let's be honest, it was an abundance. We had KSW were on as well in Europe.
Yeah.
So you know, it wasn't just the UFC having their 2 fight cards on this weekend. You've got Cage Warriors 100 as well as Polaris is on the next day. Then you've got obviously the UFC as well. Then the week after, there's a UFC card and an Invicta card. So it's quite a lot It's quite a lot going on, and quite a lot. It's hard to keep on top of, to be fair. And apparently there's a Bellator card on. I don't know if anyone knows, but apparently there's a Bellator card on. Rumours of it, because they can't promote anything. But yeah, so that, it was just a bit wild, really, to be honest with you. Enjoyable, don't get me wrong. I'll never say no to fights. But you did really well, bro, on your bets. Kudos. Yeah. I think people at home would be inquiring about how it all went for you.
Yeah, I had, over the course of the weekend, I had 6 bets, and I won 5 of the 6 for a fairly big profit. And this year has been kind of unbelievable for me, actually, betting wise, and the amount of money I've made. Considering last year I kind of shit the bed and I lost not like it's a life changing amount of money, but this year I've made enough money where it's going into buying a house, so that helps exponentially. So yeah, big weekend. I've had a big year. I'm looking to finish off these next 4 weeks strong for the year, and then looking into 2019. Hopefully I can just keep myself steady and win bets. And people have been messaging me. My DMs are always open. I don't always reply within maybe 24 hours because I can easily just look at them and then I'll go and do something else, which I'm really, really bad for. But I will get back to you in due time with that. But yeah, big weekend. The only losing bet I had was Jake Matthews, and he was winning that. On the judges' cards, I thought it was 1-1, but a great weekend. I've got a couple of bets in mind. I pretty much actually got my bets kind of set to who I want to bet this weekend, so we'll talk about that at the end after the breakdowns. But like I said, we're going to get into it, and we're going to be starting down in the lightweight division with Carlos Diego Ferreira against Jesse Ronson. Do you want to set us off in this one?
Yeah, cool, bro. Well, Jesse stepping in, getting a call up, kind of short notice thing, but he's been on the regional scene for a while. He was also fought in the UFC a while back, but God, he had a rough ride when he fought, when he came, when he got his first. When you look at who he fought when he got his first stint in the UFC, like Jesse had a bad time, bless him. And like it was Kevin Lee was one of them. Who was the other ones again? It was Kevin Lee. Oh, Trinaldo and Prazares, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
When you look at that now in those losses, they're all split decisions as well.
Yeah.
Not bad on your record, let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you look at where those 3 guys have all gone. You know, they're all kicking ass. Let's be honest, people. They're still in the UFC and causing everyone a nightmare. So kudos to for Jesse. At least we get, like I say, he's back in the UFC against Mr. Ferreira. So from a technical standpoint, Ferreira, I enjoy watching him fight. I enjoy watching Carlos Ferreira fight. I like his aggressiveness now that he's quite aggressive these days with his striking, especially in that Gerald Gordon fight. And he's just a fun guy to watch. To be honest with you, I do enjoy watching his fights anytime. But from a technical standpoint, he is open to strikes. And one thing that I found that. That Jesse was actually not too bad at. He's a very patient striker, Jesse. You know, he's not. Again, he's kind of like the opposite to what Ferreira is on a standing striking basis. Jesse's hard to get down. Kevin Lee found that out. So, you know, if Jesse wants it to stay standing, he's pretty much got a very good chance of keeping it on the feet. I just think that Ferreira, obviously, he got knocked out by Dustin Poirier. But then again, Poirier hits like a freight train. Let's be honest, he's a hot, heavy hitter. I just don't see Jesse having that power, that oh my word, crack pop in his hands.
Yeah.
So I think that Ferreira can get through this. I think it'll be another decision because I think Jesse's just one of them tough regional guys. Isn't the level to stay in the UFC, but he's at the level regionally where he's just going to be a horrible matchup for anyone. I just think Ferreira's just got, you know, he's fought higher caliber guys, you know, and he's just a bit more aggressive, so he'll have a higher output. I think it'll stay standing because I think Jesse's so hard to get down. He can get taken down, but it's just really hard. It's a lot of effort, a lot of work to get him down. I just think Ferreira wouldn't put that much effort and time into it to get it down. I think if he goes for a couple of takedowns, it doesn't happen. He'll just stop that, keep it standing. So I'm going to go decision Ferreira, but don't get me wrong. I think Jesse will have a couple of moments in the fight where he'll land a couple of good shots because he's a good counter striker. I just think Ferreira all round has just got a little bit more in his arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's a really solid fight to start the card off. I'm a fan of Diego Ferreira. I think that he's a really good guy. He's a dangerous guy. I think he's a guy you can't really take lightly anywhere with, like on the feet and especially on the ground. He's one of those guys that if he gets you on the ground, there's a high probability that he's going to catch you in a submission. And I'm happy that he was back. I mean, losing to Dustin Poirier is not a bad thing to have in your record because that guy wins a lot more fights than he loses. Even he's lost to Dariush as well. Dariush is a top 15 guy. He's had a kind of couple of struggles this year, but apart from that, he's looked super solid in his UFC fights. He's beaten like Najem, Colton Smith back in the that's when they were winning the tough show and getting to the final, and he was beating those guys and he was doing it by knockout. Then he faced Olivier Aubin-Mercier after those two losses. Mercier is a tough fighter.
Yeah.
See, he makes progressions every fight, and fought him close, but I definitely think that Mercier had the better of the kind of everything in that fight. And then Jared Gordon, a lot of people were kind of counting him out in that fight. I think I was one of them actually. I think I picked Jared Gordon. I kind of fell into the hype of him a little bit, and then he came out and just put it on Jared Gordon and looked as good as he ever did. Jesse Ronson, like I said, as you were saying, sorry, that this is his second stint in the UFC, coming in here short notice after John McDessie pulled out. And he's a guy who kind of flip-flops between welterweight, lightweight. He's always kind of did that. And his losses aren't bad, like we're saying. Kevin Lee, if I was to go back 4 years ago and say, look, you've got Kevin Lee, Trinaldo, Prazeres, and you're moving 4 years forward. Well, you've got Kevin Lee who's fighting in the main event in a couple of weeks. You've got Prazeres who's got one of the biggest streaks in the sport. And then you've got Trinaldo, who's one of the hardest bastards in the sport, old bastards in the sport. So, who nobody gets an easy fight against that guy. And he, regional guy fights as well. Tiger Sarnavsky, he's a really tough guy as well. I just think it's a little bit too soon. It's a short notice fight, and it's against high caliber opposition, in my opinion, in Diego Ferreira. I think if it was to get to the ground, I think he could find a submission, but I think it could be a little bit back and forth. I think Ferreira might give him a little bit, might give him opportunities to get into the fight, is what I'm trying to say. And I think I'm with you there, where he wins via decision. But I think Ronson could fight him kind of close, but I think towards the end of the fight, Diego Ferreira will kind of take over and get a decision there. So moving on, welterweight division, Chad Laprise against Diego Lima. And for me, this is one of my most confident picks in the entire card. Diego Lima, if he's not fighting an Ultimate Fighter, just doesn't win fights in the UFC. Pretty plain and simple.
Yeah.
I think he's 0-4 on his UFC run, and it's kind of weird because I've had two people message me saying this week, and it's quite funny. Do you think Douglas Lima has got a chance to win in the UFC? And I'm like, do you realise he's got a brother and he's called Diego? So it's not Douglas. No, it's not Douglas. He fights him.
Douglas is a badass motherfucker.
Yeah, Douglas is one of the best welterweights in the sport that we've just not seen the UFC fight the big guys, but he's good. But like I say, the guy wins fights for fun in the Ultimate Fighter house. But once you put him in the big lights of the UFC, he just doesn't win fights. He knocked out by Tim Means. He got knocked out by the Leech. Jesse Taylor submitted him. Yushin Okami decisioned him last time out. And I think he is a solid fighter. I just don't think he's UFC level. Chad Laprise has shown that he is UFC level. He's won fights. He's faced some good opposition. When he's faced that good opposition, he's lost. Luke's great opposition. Trinaldo, tough. Pearson, that's a little bit... I kind of surprised because that was only a couple of years ago, and we talked about Ross Pearson kind of recently regarding he's kind of really at the tail end of his Barberena, Mercy. He's fought good fighters and beat good fighters. I think this fight, times to fade. Chad Laprise, I don't think it's here against Diego Lima. I think the betting line is fairly unanimous on his side, and I don't disagree with him either. I'm going to go Chad Laprise. I think he can knock out Diego Lima in this one inside the first 2 rounds.
You know, it is a horrible one when I was reviewing this matchup because I just like with Chad Laprise, he had that three knockouts in a row, and it was against not the best competition. But then when you look at who he's fighting, suddenly you think, actually, like you said there, well, it should be Chad Laprise winning because Chad beats these guys. He beats like a Diego Lima because that's what Diego is. He's not one of the top guys. He is a guy that's probably do well on other promotions. Like Diego Lima might do well in. He might do all right in Bellator. He might do okay in Brave, or he'll do okay in KSW. I think there's guys in There's guys in KSW who I probably would wreck Diego Lima, but I just think that Chad Laprise is just a bit better in every aspect. There's guys in KSW who I probably would wreck Diego Lima, but I just think that Chad Laprise is just a bit better in every aspect, so to speak, with the wrestling side of things, especially. I think Chad, if you watch Diego's fights, just get Diego down, and the dude doesn't have an answer. He just looks not frustrated. He just looks a bit disappointed, like, oh, I just want to stand up. And it's like, dude, well, get up then. Do something about it. He just doesn't do enough when he's on the ground. If I'm Chad Laprise, I'm going to take him down a few times, get those hands down a little bit lower, then, like you say, come over the top with a right hand and put him to sleep. You know, even if faking for the takedowns, I'm going to Chad Laprise as well. I think that even though Chad's not the best, I think he's definitely better than Diego. I'm probably going to go Chad. You said first or second round. I'm going to go with I'll go third with a finish. I think he definitely stopped Diego because I think Okami just was like a wet blanket over Lima. It was absolutely like he didn't really try to finish Lima properly. But I think Chad could definitely finish it, Lima. So yeah, I'll go third round, Chad.
So moving on, we have well, I was going to say the latest Ultimate Fighter winner, but we had 2 new ones at the weekend there.
Yep.
But last season's winners, we've got Brad Katona, who's dropping down from 145 to 135 here to face Matthew Lopez. How do you see this one going?
Man, like he's training at SBG, isn't it, Brad? Yeah. So
yes,
you know, and that's nice. But then again, don't get me wrong. Let's not forget. Just because you train there doesn't mean that you're a good fighter.
Yeah.
And the gym itself hasn't produced like a catalogue of top fighters. It's got one, and then it's got some other medium guys. For Brad himself, I thought he was, you know, in the Ultimate Fighter fights, he beat the guys he probably should have. To be fair, he did well. He didn't do great. It was just, His skill set was not bad at all. In a final against Jay, Jay's just a stand-up guy. You know, that is what he is. He's not really a ground guy, to be fair. I thought Jay just wasn't initiating the attack in the fights enough, and Brad took advantage. Good movement, not a lot of output. A guy like Matthew Lopez, though, he's game. Like I like Lopez as a fighter because he's just fun. Like, the dude is game. He will stand and he will go out in a shield, or he will go out holding a shield. So I quite like the fact that Brad's not going to get a lot of breathing room. I think he's going to get a lot of pressure from Lopez, especially because he's dropping down to 135. You want to test that gas tank, see how that weight cut was going. You know, pressure. Matthew Lopez beat some legit guys, you know, Mitch Gagnon and Johnny Eduardo. You know, they are two guys who are legit in the UFC themselves. So, man, I don't know if it's because SBG and this part of me just kind of tends to be a bit against him, but I'm going to go. I know Matthew Lopez lost his last couple of fights. He's got sparked out. But I'm going to go Matthew Lopez. I'm going to be a bit wild and go with Matthew Lopez here. I just think his aggression and swinging heavy, because he does crack hard for that weight cut. I think he can actually just overwhelm Brad with just a relentless pressure. I'm going to go with decision win. I think Brad might be able to tough it out with a bit of grappling. I got a really bad feeling that Brad's going to win via decision by just taking him down and getting on top for a bit. But I'm going to go Lopez decision, just because there's something about SBG guys that kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I can see where you're kind of coming from. I like Brad Katona as a fighter, I'll be honest with you. I think he's a dogged compare. Like, everybody was writing him off in that season, and he came through pretty convincingly. In the finale, I thought he put a beating on Jay Cuccinello, and on the feet, I think he outstruck him. I think he took him down 2 or 3 times, I want to say. And he just, wherever that fight went, he was leading the dance, and the toughness of Jay Cuccinello kind of really showed. And that's pretty much what Jay is. He's a tough guy. But I think against well-varied fighters, I think he struggled, and he did against Brad Katona. Now he's moving down to 135, which I think is definitely the right weight for him. He's a small guy up at 145. When you talk about that Ismagulov, who's moving down, looks a bit of a unit, moving down to 145, could you imagine him against Katona matched up? It would be a bit, it wouldn't look great kind of on the site there, just looking at him and squaring up to one another. So going down to 135, I do think is a better move for him. And like, it's a guy that James Lynch actually kind of introduced me to him a long time ago with his interviews. And I've been kind of keeping an eye on him since, and obviously he's moved himself over to Ireland, so that's a massive move going from over there, Canada, over to SBG, and calling it as we kind of see it, SBG outside of Conor McGregor is really not your best fight camp. They don't really win an awful lot of fights. I do think they've got talent coming through, and they have done. Some are signed to Bellator and so on.
Owen Roddy just retired as well, didn't he? So their top striking coach is gone.
So it's this is a good matchup, because I think Matthew Lopez is on the chopping block. Lost to now, his opposition that he's lost to is
high level.
Like, Perez is not high level, but he's a good fighter. If you know about fighters, Alexander Perez is one of those guys who is really tough to win any fights against, and he got knocked out in that one. Rafael Assunção is one of the most underrated fighters in the entire sport. He doesn't get half the credit that he deserves, and he might eventually get a title shot if he beats Moraes next year.
Beat Moraes again. Yeah.
He beats him twice. That's crazy, and you have to give him a title shot there. So. And Rani Yahya caught him in a submission in a kind of well-fought fight, but it was just maybe a little bit too soon against a ground specialist like that. He is a wrestler, and that's what I think he will try and use in this fight here. I can see Katona stuffing a few of them. I mean, he comes from a great wrestling college as well, Arizona State, which is one of the best in America. When I went to university over in America, that was where I was around Arizona. Huge prestige with those guys. I think Cain Velasquez was out of there as well, and I want to say maybe Justin Gaethje. I know he's not kind of known as a kind of highly kind of accoladed wrestler at all, but it's still coming out from camps like that, universities like that. It's going to be, you're going to be good. You're going to be scouted very, very early on. Comes from Denver, Elevation Fight Team. Been fairly decent this year. I think that he's got good. I think he's been training. I remember watching the James Lynch interview, and he's been training with a couple of guys who've got title fights in this upcoming week here on the LFA and so on. So he's been training with guys, getting ready to go 5 rounds, fighting hard. But eventually, I think he does get some takedowns. Whether he keeps Katona there is another thing. I think maybe Katona can bounce back to his feet. So on the feet, I think it's fairly close. I see this as a super close fight. I think that I'm going to go with Matthew Lopez. I'm going to go very, very close split decision, but it's a super close fight. I think that the betting lines are a little bit off. I don't think he should be. He's plus 240.
Oh, that's heavy, isn't it?
To me, that's a little bit off.
I think that's probably due to only because they look at the record and see 2 knockouts. It's probably why,
yeah. But I've always been a fan. If you go back in, like on my own YouTube channel, I was talking about Matthew Lopez when he first came in. I thought he was a decent fighter. I think he needs to show it here. This is maybe, I don't want to say it's one of his easier matchups, because Brad Katona could go on to be a world champion for all I know. But I'm going to go Matthew Lopez. Very, very close split decision. He's the bigger guy, height-wise. He's got a 4 or 5 inch reach advantage as well. So try and use that. Maybe try and use those long arms to get around him, get him to the ground. But I see it being close. A fight that, honestly, I was thinking about betting this one. I think I'm going to stay away though, because I do think if I think it's a split, it's going to be close. Then I've got to be careful with my money. But I'm going to go Matthew Lopez split decision now.
Nice. And
the headline fight of the UFC Fight Pass prelims. This is a good one. This got a little bit of kind of European tinge to it, with Aleksandar Rakić racing off against Devin Clark. And I think Aleksandar Rakić is the truth. I think this guy is going to be super, super good in the future. He's still kind of young in the sport, but he looks really good. And he absolutely dismantled Justin Ledet last time out. Literally from when that fight started, I think he threw a leg kick, which maybe shocked Ledet.
Yeah.
And put him on. He just put him on the back foot straight away, and then Rakić was getting takedowns. He was outstriking the boxer. He was quicker to the punch. His footwork was exceptional. His head movement was exceptional. And he was a big underdog in that fight, and I picked him. I didn't think he should have been an underdog with Ledet moving down to 205. What I seen, not that I'd seen much of Rakić, but what I had seen was that there's something there. There's something that I just really like with him, and he showed it in that fight. Now he's got a massive betting line beside his name this time, and he's got a good. I don't want to say it's a great opponent. It's a solid opponent.
Yeah.
Devin Clark. He's got some wins in the UFC. He's got some losses, but he has faced you're probably going to have to call Jan Blachowicz a top 5 guy in that division. He's winning fights and he's good opposition, so he's maybe around that number 5, and he fought fairly close with that one before getting caught in a submission, and he comes from a great camp, and he's training with one of the best in John Jones at the minute, and John Jones is going to be fighting in the next 4 weeks or so. So having that guy as a training partner is pretty decent. He's coming off that win over Mike Rodriguez, where he beat him via unanimous decision, with wins over Jake Collier and Josh Stansbury. But they are not good wins. I think when you look at, I rate Aleksandar Rakić higher than Jan Blachowicz. I think this is his best opponent he's faced in the UFC. I think he's got all the tools. He's at American top team. They're going to nurture that boy into being an absolutely solid fighter. And I'm really excited to see what this kid's going to do. He's a big dude, 6'5", I think he is. Good reach, switch stand striker as well. I'm trying to think what Devin Clark's game plan is going to be, and I think it's going to be one to try and take him to the ground. But honestly, I think that Rakić stuffs, and I think he could possibly get him to the ground. If it stands on the feet, I think that Rakić will pick him apart a little bit. I think those leg kicks are a big deal. If he can get one of those off early and get the respect off Devin Clark, I like him in this fight. big time. I like him a lot. I think Aleksandar Rakić is going to win via TKO. The middle part of this fight here, second round knockout, and I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going, because there is a few talents coming through that division, Rakić and Reyes, and I think Jimi. Highly for this guy, and I've got him winning this fight.
Good, we're back. Look, I'm with you. Alexander is, oh gosh, he's a fun, exciting fighter.
Highly for this guy, and I've got him winning this fight.
Look, I'm with you. Alexander is, oh gosh, he's a fun, exciting fighter. A lot of potential in him. And it seems like the light heavyweight division is getting tall again, you know. Man, he is just a great guy for mixing everything up. Like you said in the Ledette fight, leg kicks, punches, takedowns, the lot, takedown defense. It's a great accumulation of kind of skill sets he has got, and like you said, it's early days. He's still building it up. Man, he is exciting to watch. He's got a lot of potential, huge. And I think, you know, training partners like, say, ATT, got someone like Scott Askham and that kind of big, tall dudes training together. But someone like Devin Clark, he's going to do what he did to Jan. He's going to try and get him against the cage, press him, try and get him down. Like I said, shoot. He'll want to keep it close. He hasn't got anywhere near the reach to kind of get the striking going. He has to keep it close. So he has to do that shoe shine kind of boxing, you know, just bull rush him into the cage, pull up, like break up with a small gap between them, throw a couple of strikes to shoot in for the takedown. But I don't think it's going to work, you know. I think Alex is going to be able to stop this takedown. I think he'll be able to snuff it, like you said. I think if he's going to get a throw, it's going to be like an Osoto Gary, which is a judo takedown. So basically, when he shoots in, you see a lot of the guys, they'll get double underhooks, and they just use their leg and kind of wheel kick. You see them like donkey kick out, and it flips them over the hips. So that kind of takedown, it's something that Alex has a lot more length on his legs and hips, so he throw Devin over quite easily, so you might see that. And Muay Thai kind of clinch trips as well, something that Alex could catch Devin with. I just see Alex just absolutely obliterating him, though, you know, just keeping him on the end of those punches. Devin's going to have to charge in, so he has to eat some of them shots. You very well could see Alex ping a knee in there, you know, because the height of him and length of him, could see him just come right in for a nice knee to the cranium. So I'm going to go a finish for Alex. I think he's going to stop Devin in. I think he could put him away like in the second round, maybe if not earlier. Man, I definitely got Alex. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I hope that they match him up well after this. Gosh, he's just a good addition to the light heavyweights.
Yeah, that's one of the fights I'm looking forward to in this card. I've seen that the big guys, and seeing if he's going to move himself forward and be as good as I think he's going to be, because I do think he's got a hell of a lot of potential. But we're finally moving on to the prelims here, and we're starting off with one of Canada's own, Olivier Aubin-Mercier against Gilbert Burns. Lead us off, John.
Well, if you don't like watching Gilbert Burns in a fight, you're absolutely mental. He's a great guy to watch fight. And if you don't like OAM's style, well, you need to have a word of yourself. This guy's a fashion icon. If you've not seen look, I like it. I like his sense of humour. Canada, some Canadians, they have a quirky sense of, he's got a quirky sense of humour. It's good. I like it. He's a gangster, as he calls himself, a Canadian gangster. It's good. But on a fighting perspective, Olivier he was getting a lot of momentum going. You know, he was looking good. Things were going well. You just saw him grow for like a 4 or 5 fight win streak. He lost that decision to Hernandez, where he just got outworked, you know, and it was crazy. You know, Olivier is the kind of guy who outworks other people, but he just got outworked. My only problem with Gilbert Burns is he's got potential. He's exciting. He's fun. Legit on the ground, like he's just a ninja on the ground if he wants to be. But so my kind of sticking point with Gilbert Burns is he hasn't had that standout run. He hasn't had any particular run in the UFC where you've went, oh, he's dangerous. If you look at Gilbert Burns, what he's done, he's beat who he probably should have really beat, the guys who aren't that great. But other than that, he beat the cowboy, the Brazilian cowboy, Oliveira, but I was at 155. But other than that, I just have a question, a little asterisk over Gilbert Burns. I think, when's he going to, or is he going to have that standout performance to do what we need him to? So weirdly enough, I'm going to go with Olivier here. I think that Olivier can land the strikes. He can take a hit, Olivier. He's got a tough chin on him, so if Gilbert does land, and I think Olivier's wrestling can counter Gilbert Burns' jiu-jitsu on the ground, where what I mean by that is I think he can get him down and get heavy top pressure, just grind him, just get him guard and just be tight on top of him, land a couple of elbows, and when the referee splits him up, the referee splits him up. He's got his points on the board that he needed, and he just gets that, gets a decision win. Because I just think Olivier can do a bit more to secure, because he's got that, that kind of training that he's had with Faraz and stuff, and that a great kind of mindset and game plan, strategic kind of wise. I just think Gilbert Burns, I don't know, this could be the fight that he performs and has that standout bout, but there's a little asterisk. I'm a bit unsure if he can do it when it comes to certain fights, and I think Olivier is a tough dude to fight. He's just a pain in the backside. So I'm going Olivier decision on his in Canada.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I've kind of struggled with. The whole kind of week I've been looking into it, because I've always been a kind of admirer of what Gilbert Burns is, and he's a really good jiu-jitsu player who's very, very super dangerous. I think he's got striking as well. The one thing that always gets me with Gilbert Burns is just he seems to kind of fade in fights, and I think that really, if he could just shore his cardio up a little bit and go hard for those 15 minutes. Now I think he can go hard for maybe 10, 12 minutes, but there's times when he does kind of wean off a little bit, and he doesn't throw as much, and he's just not as dangerous. And I think that Aubin-Mercier, I think if he's smart, I think he uses body kicks, low kicks, because I do think he has really solid, a good solid kicking game, especially to the body and to the legs, and that could potentially lower the hands, where Mercier could maybe hit him with a shot up top, but also it might take away the explosiveness of Gilbert Burns maybe trying to get takedowns as well. I just think that Mercier is going to, I think he's going to just do enough to kind of win this fight. I can see it being close. It might be another one of these fights where it goes to a split decision, but I kind of initially I like Burns, but now I like Aubin-Mercier. I think this is a big rebound fight for him, but a dangerous one at that, because Gilbert Burns is no easy fight for anybody. I'm going to go Olivier Aubin-Mercier via a decision in this one here. Middleweight division, Eryk against Elias Theodorou. This is another interesting fight, because Elias is just not easy to look good against, and you look kind of bad pretty much all the time. It's hard to look good against that guy, and he's coming off that win in Liverpool, I think it was.
Yeah, Trevor Smith, which when I was there I thought, I think Trevor Smith's won that fight, and of course the kind of close point fighting style of Elias came through, and he won a unanimous decision, because it's not like that he gets really knockouts. It's been nearly 4 years since he did that, but I think this I think it's a tough one for him, because I think Anders, I'm a little bit unsure with this one. I like Eryk Anders a lot, but he has taken, I think this is his fight number, wow, this is going to be his 5th fight inside of 12 months, and he lost that fight last time to Thiago Santos, where he took a lot of damage in that one. That looked kind of brutal towards the end. There was a short notice fight, he came in like a week's notice. Then that Tim Williams fight, I don't think he fought that fight very well. Managed to get a stoppage in that one late in the third. Machida, I think he could have won that fight, honestly, down in Brazil. Split, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very, very kind of close split decision where I think he could have easily got the decision in that one. But if it was in America, I think he would got it. And, but we're in Brazil, and sometimes you kind of have to expect that the home person's going to get the decision. But this is an interesting fight because you know what Elias is going to do. He's going to fight at range, kick, and just don't get hit. Where Anders is always a forward pressure fighter, always throwing heavy leather. You can still see there's a lot of things for him to work on because he is still very, very young in the sport, and he's only been in for maybe, I want to say 3, 4, 5 years, 5 years probably, maybe a bit longer than that. But yeah, he's going to come forward and he's going to pressure and he's going to want to land punches. But Elias is going to want to keep him outside and just point fight and point and pick and see if he wins this fight. Now, in Canada, that could help him as well. I'm going to go Eryk Anders to stop him. I'm going to go a TKO late second or third round for Eryk Anders. I think he just lands a big shot and puts out a question, not going to a decision.
Man, I think Elias had an opportunity against Trevor Smith to kind of get himself in that win column with an impressive stoppage, and he just, I don't know what it is, because it wasn't the Thiago Santos fight that did it, because he was the way he fights, he's been doing it prior to that. We've hung out with Elias, top bloke, really nice guy, but I don't know where that killer kind of mentality he had, like you say, years ago, where he was like his ground and pound was legit. I don't know where it's gone. He is like point fighting, almost playing it safe, but the thing is, it's not going to get you anywhere. And they've gave him a bulldog in, like you say, Anders. Anders is really quick. On his feet, he's got really good explosive forward movement from that from his American football training. That kind of 3-point stance, boom, off you go. He's got that. He's got great explosion with those overhands that he can, overhand right that he can just, and overhand lefts, and just anything, power shots that he throws, or takedowns. I don't think he'll stop Elias. I just think Elias has got a head like a coconut, and he can take a bit of a beating because he's not had that many beatings. Elias, I think Eryk can just get definitely 2 rounds in him, and Elias might be able to get maybe Elias might even get the first round, then Eryk gets the second or third, 1 or 2. But I think Eryk will win decision 2 out of 1, 2 of the 1 rounds and 2 of the 3 rounds. Sorry, but yeah, I just think Elias, like you say, hard to look good against because he is such a strategic, safe fighter. But Eric's just got to pressure. All you need to do with Elias is just go at him. Just don't let him have that space where he can throw kicks, because that's what he likes to do. Likes to throw those head kicks, body kick, front kicks. Keep the space between you. You want to have the gap closer than that, just a bit closer than that, and it throws him off. And he can get hit, Elias. His head movement's not quite there. So I'm going to go with Eryk Anders. I think he can get Elias down and get some ground and pound in. I think decision win, Eryk Anders.
Yeah. I do like the fight. I've just had a look at the betting lines there, and the betting lines have come down a little bit. This is going to be close to a pick 'em, I think, by fight time, which is a little bit interesting.
Ooh. I like both the dudes, both great guys. Eryk Anders, interviewed him before he before he even got into the UFC, and Elias, I've interviewed him for many a time and hung out with him as well, so got a lot of time for him. Yeah.
Moving on, women's flyweight division with Katlyn Chookagian against Jessica Evil Eye. That's a close one, isn't it?
I've got gosh, not looking forward to this. Yeah, so you got Chookagian, who's basically playing tennis when she fights. Gosh, it's just, I'm going to say it straight right now. I'm going to say I think Chookagian's going to win by decision because she sounds like she's playing tennis, and that is legit. I think she makes those noises so much when she throws every strike. It kind of gets in the judges' heads that they think that maybe it's landed. Even when she doesn't land, when she gets close to landing, she makes that noise all the time. Honestly, I don't think Katlyn Chookagian's that great. Honestly, I don't. She gets the wins, don't get me wrong. She gets the decision wins because she just looks like she's doing a lot. Jessica Rai, yeah, fair enough. She's in her weight class, as she says, and she's there where she needs to be. We know what Jessica Rai is. She's a fighter that's not done a lot of change in her style in the years that she's been not just in UFC, but if you go back to her earlier days where she was kicking ass at 125, she's not done a lot of change, and even like the Jessica Rose Clark wasn't it wasn't a monumental win, because Jessica Rose Clark is still up and coming. Jessica Rose Clark is not an established female fighter. She's up and coming. Yeah, I'm just finding it hard to get motivated to talk about this. Sorry. The fight itself, I think Chookagian, I'm looking forward to seeing what Chookagian can do on the ground if she gets taken down, because Jessica might want to do that, because I think she trains at Henzo's. So I'd like to see what so I'd like to see what Chookagian can do on the ground. I legitimately would like to see, maybe we might get a bit of excitement, or I'd really like to see if she shouts out when she throws a submission on. I wouldn't be surprised if she did that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. I think Jessica's going to be so game to want to stand. I just think Chookagian will win with her yelping, and I'm not looking forward to the fight at all. I just think decision win Chookagian with the yelps. I just think Jessica Rai, for me, she's nowhere near evolved as a fighter from when if you look at her first fight in the UFC to now, not much difference, not much change. And that's worrying, in a sport that changes every week almost, it feels like. You need to adapt yourself in a manner that will fit that mould, add something a bit more to your game, be a bit more different, a bit more dynamic. I don't really see that in Jessica Rai that much. I think Jessica Rose Clark, for example, she's just nowhere near as experienced as Jessica, and Jessica was the more experienced fighter, was able to get the best out of it. But I'll pick Chookagian just purely out of she's just somehow wins, because she doesn't do anything special, but she somehow gets the wins.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you in this one. It's not a fight I'm kind of overly invested in. And we just need to. I'm not invested in it. Some fights you get invested in, some you don't, and it's not a fight that really catches my eye. What I will say about Jessica is I think she has made improvements in her last couple of fights from a middle part of her UFC tenure where she was losing fights. Now, she was losing to fairly decent competition with former champions, but losing to Betchko here is never a good thing on your record. But since she's kind of went down to a kind of natural division, which is 125, she's beat Katlyn Faria, where Faria's not a great fight, let's be honest. Did what she had to do there. She got hit with a few head kicks in that fight, which was a little bit concerning. But then she came out against Jessica Rose Clark, and I was pretty confident actually back in June that Jessica Rose Clark was going to win that fight. I thought she just made more kind of advancements in her games than what Jessica has, but Jessica showed that she's made improvements, and that's something you should take note in this fight. But Chookagian, she's one of those fighters, like you say, she's hard, really kind of good again. She fights long, she hits, and then she makes that noise, and she goes around and she does it again, and she kind of runs off. But like you say, we've not really seen much of a ground game, which is, I think, if you're working with Henzo, your ground game is going to be pretty legit, and you're going to be fairly decent on the ground as well. I just see her winning rounds by picking and popping from distance, not getting hit. But it also wouldn't surprise me if Jessica got the decision here, being honest. But I'll go Katlyn Chookagian via decision in that one as well.
She's the female Elias Theodorou with sound effects.
And the last fight of the prelims, we've got Cláudia Gadelha against Nina Ansaroff. This can interest me a little bit, because I've seen some of the betting community actually bet Nina Ansaroff, and I'm like, okay, I do think it's a big, massive step up. And Cláudia Gadelha, I think she definitely didn't look good in that fight against Carla Esparza last time. I kind of scored that for Esparza in that one, if I'm being honest with you. And obviously she was coming off that big beating by Jessica Andrade, but she's still one of the best girls in the division. So Nina Ansaroff here is making the massive kind of step up from facing Angela Hill, Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger, Randa Marcos. So she'll be super confident. She obviously comes from a great camp, so she's training with good people. Her missus is probably her main training partner as well. She's got JJ who's fighting this card, so the camp probably has been run very, very well. They've sparred very well, and she's ready to go. Especially if she's been, I can see her fighting with JJ quite a lot, considering that she's fought Gadelha a few times. She'll learn a few things Jędrzejczyk did, but she is a different fighter than what Joanna is, obviously. But I think she's fairly powerful, and I think she's pretty good in a lot of facets of the game. I just think that for me, Cláudia Gadelha is just a little bit better. I think her striking has definitely come on her last few fights. Maybe it just didn't look great in the Jędrzejczyk fight, because that is Joanna's kind of bread and butter as a striking, but she dropped her in that fight as well. So I'm going to go Cláudia Gadelha, but I can see it being kind of a bit closer than what some people are saying, and what some people are saying that this fight shouldn't be happening, and I kind of disagree with that. I think it's time for Ansaroff to kind of get that step up and get someone like Gadelha. If she wins that, she's put herself probably in close to the top 5 of that division. So I still feel pretty confident that Cláudia turns up at full capacity. She wins this fight.
Yeah,
fairly comfortably, but I'll pick Gadelha via decision.
Yeah, I think you're right about the Nina's time to step up, because the thing is, people kind of forget that the strawweight division, there's a gap. There is a gap between the people who are on the outside of the perennial contenders, and then you've got, these fights that you have to fight, your Cláudia Gadelhas, your Jessica Andrades. These girls, there's not much of a gap. There's no one in between. There's no middle ground for people to step in. So, like you say, Nina won 3 in a row. What are you going to do? You can't give her someone else, so you can't give any other cow fodder, so you have to give us someone who's high up in that kind of echelon of the strawweights. And I think Cláudia, it's not a bad one, because Claudia's she kind of ran out of people to fight as well, if you think about it, in that top division of contenders. So I think you've got to give a potential for someone like Nina. Confidence is going to be super high with 3 wins in a row, like you said. The training camp, who she's training with. So that I think confidence can do a lot for a fighter. It can get you through some of the tougher aspects in the fight than it would do if your confidence was low. It can help push you a little bit more. I think she'll have a tough time against Cláudia, because I think Cláudia, like you said, she's just fought. Like you said, Claudia's fought the who's who. And yeah, she lost decisions to Joanna and Jessica. Like, Jessica fight was just I think if anyone fought Jessica, they're just going to get absolutely ragdolled at the moment, because Jessica's just coming into her own at 115. But I think that Cláudia's just smarter, especially Nina really should not want to take that to the ground with Cláudia. You don't really want to go to the ground with Cláudia. I think Claudia's a stronger grappler by a mile with these two, no matter what wrestling level Nina thinks she's got. I think it's going to be not the best striking game, but I think Claudia's got enough in the tank, and I think Cláudia could get Nina down. I'm going to go 3rd round submission for Cláudia, even though highly likely decision because it's the strawweights. But I think Cláudia can maybe get a 3rd round submission, like a rear naked choke or something. Both of them are a bit tired, a bit gassed. Goes to the ground. Cláudia can just naturally just sink in that rear naked choke and take Nina's back. But I just think Nina's just going to fall short. Again, she needs to step up, but she's not the level to get anywhere near a title fight. I think Nina would get absolutely mauled by the top girls. Like Joanna, if Joanna goes to 115 again, she'd maul. Jessica Andrade would maul. Nina's quite levels away from that kind of standard.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So that is the prelims done. We're moving on to the main card, and it's starting off with a fight that I don't think the judges are going to get to see or get to score till the end of. We've got the poster boy Jimi Manuwa making his way over to Canada to face Maheta, Thiago Santos in a barn burner fight. Like I say, I just don't see this one going to the judges' scorecard. So, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, you just jinxed it, so thanks, Will. Everyone thank Will now for that. No, but look, you got that win against Eryk Anders. How gangster was that from Eryk Anders? Firstly, stepping up to go in there against him. Do you know what I mean? Kudos to him to do that. But he played a kind of safe fight almost against Holland, getting that win against Kevin Holland, because he obviously lost to David Branch. Man, I think we might get to. It's only 3 rounds, so both parties, and Jimi, Manuwa and Santos, will both know they can just go hard. You know, they can. There's no worry about a 5-round fight, and they don't really often think like that. So, man, it's gonna be crazy because Santos can crack, and I'm super excited to see how he does it at light heavyweight. You know, really excited because I don't think the Eryk Anders fight really counts. It's an asterisk. It's like you know, we're going to give you in the same weight class of middleweight where you were before. You know, I don't think that really counts. But he didn't weigh that much though, did he? In the last fight, I believe, off the top of my head, I think Santos was. You know, I don't think he's going to be a big light heavyweight, and that's a big factor because Jimmy's a big boy. You know, Jimmy's easy hitting 225 when he comes in fight day, 220, 225. He cuts down to get 205. So I think that will play a big factor in this. If I'm honest, I think Santos got to go for the takedown. You know, he's got it. I know Jimmy's chin's been questionable, but Jimmy can crack. I think Santos has been popped and dropped. You know, it's a pick'em. This one is a pick'em. Let's be. I am super dubious about Manuwa's chin these days because it seems to just be going a bit quicker all the time. And age is a factor. You know, he's cracking under 40. Man, it's a horrible one to pick. I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with Thiago Santos. I'm going to go crazy. It's a hard one, but I know he's going to be lighter. I get the feeling he might be a bit quicker. They're both aggressive. I think those kicks that Thiago Santos throws. I think if you can crack Jimmy, if you can at least crack him, you can put him on what put him on wobbly legs. Man, it's a horrible one. I'm going to go. It's a 50-50. I go Santos just for the, just because a nice piece. I think he'd be fresh. I think he'd be fresh blood for the light heavyweight division and bring some good fights. I think Jimmy's not long left. 38 years old for Jimmy. I don't think there's much longer left in him. So I'm going to go crazy. I'm going with a stoppage for Santos, man.
Yeah, this is. It's interesting because I'm looking at it like, well, where is Jimmy in his career? And I'm like, he's kind of 2 losses in a row. And this is a massive fight for him to kind of really stay relevant in the division because, I mean, Thiago's new to the division, still kind of establishing himself, but he is a recognisable name who could easily climb the ranks in that division very, very quickly. To me, last time out, I thought that Jimmy looked. That's the first time I think he's looked old.
Yeah.
Old fight game, and I think that Blachowicz kind of beat him to the punch on everything, knocked him down, outstruck him.
Blachowicz looked so good in that fight.
Yeah. And he just looked at Blachowicz, like you said, he looked totally different to anybody we've ever seen. And since then, he's went on and he's won a couple of fights, and he's really established himself in that kind of division. It's just. I don't know whether he can take a big shot. I think this is outside of Rumble Johnson. I think this is the biggest hitter he's ever faced. I think Thiago throws some massive bombs, but he leaves his chin out the eye behind as well. I think if Jimmy would be to catch him with it, I could definitely see him putting him down. I just think Thiago Santos is the fresher fighter. He's when was that last fight actually against Eryk Anders? Was that back?
September, mate. So it's
was it really?
Yeah, end of September-ish.
I thought it was and it was late September, so it's really only like 8-9 weeks ago that fight took place.
Yeah.
And, like, he never all that much damage in that fight. He got taken down a few times, but never got hit with some massive strikes. I like Thiago Santos here. I think a good game plan actually is to take Manuwa down, because I would think he's going to be expecting that. I think Manuwa's going to be thinking this guy's going to stand in front of me and he's going to throw something. So mix it in with takedowns and maybe unleashing the ground and pound might be the kind of way forward in this one here. But I just think one fairly clean shot from Santos will put him in wobbly legs, and I think that I'm not saying that Volkan Ozdemir is like there's something weird with Ozdemir because he's obviously got power, you can see it in him. but that was a super short shot that he hit him with, and that sent him on kind of queer street. I think if the way that Thiago kind of winds up with his punches, with his kicks, even if Manuwa gets his hand up and blocks it, I think that all it takes is just something to kind of crack that cranium a little bit, and he's going to start wobbling. And I think that Thiago's going to kind of follow up and kind of finish him through that. So I'm going to go Thiago Santos via knockout in the second round there. So moving on, featherweight division, this got moved up after, unfortunately, Renato Moicano was taken off the card. But we've got Hakeem Dawodu against Bochniak. And yeah, I think it's another good fight. I think it's a really good fight actually put in the pay-per-view, because I can see this turning into a little bit of a dog fight, because that's what Kyle Bochniak is kind of really known for actually. It's getting into kind of exciting fights, especially recently, especially coming off his last fight against Zabit, where he was just a crazy little bastard in that fight. He just would not go down, took a lot of strikes, was coming forward and looking to put it on Zabit, but unfortunately he just kind of wasn't enough in that aspect. And you look at his other fights in the UFC, he had that with Charles Rosa, he had that with Jeremy Kennedy a little bit, but if you look at all those fights and you look at some of the stats in those, like especially all his fights, he's been outstruck in every single one of his fights. And then you bring in Hakeem Dawodu here, who I think is, looking at him, I think he's got the faster hands. I think he's got more combinations. I think he's got more athleticism, but he is there to be got. I think that Bochniak is so game that he's going to make this fight super, super close. And I'm going to pick Hakeem Dawodu, but I've got not that much confidence in him, because I think Bochniak can make it a dog fight, and he could potentially land something on Dawodu and hurt him. I'm kind of going with I think that win last time for Hakeem was massive. Get him after that Danny Henry loss, because he was coming in there with a lot of hype from himself, from a few people that out of Canada and so on, and he was kind of made to pay for it when Danny Henry kind of put him to sleep inside the first minute of that fight. So that must have been a big thing for him. Thankfully he got SBG, came out of there, and then fought his fight. Fought last time. I thought he fought really safe. You could tell that he's super talented. He's got a lot of things there against Austin Arnett, and Austin Arnett had some parts of that fight where he had a few kind of decent parts of that fight, but in the end I thought that Hakeem was just the better striker, the faster striker, more diverse striking as well, better footwork, very, very fast, very athletic. I think that's what he's got over Bochniak, but Bochniak, I think he's going to come forward and start barreling punches, and I think that if Dawodu leaves his chin in there, Bochniak will find it and will hurt him with it. So I'm going to pick Hakeem, not super confident in it though, but Hakeem via decision for me.
Yeah, it's two styles, two different styles. You know, Hakeem is a patient. You know, he's not a high volume guy. If you want, he likes to take his time with his shots and get those kind of power combinations in. If that's the way to put it, I suppose you could. But like I say, Kyle, I think, like you said, mate, I'm with you. I think he's just going to come forward knowing that Hakeem's going to be fast. He's going to have, good reactions, good footwork, get out of the way. So I think all Kyle has to do is double up on everything. So when he's throwing the jab, throw the double jab. Don't throw a single, throw a double jab while you're moving forward, so that you've got a chance of landing the second jab. And then when you throw the right straight, double up on your right straight. Pop that out twice, because Hakeem can lean. Hakeem will rely on his footwork to get back, lean out a little bit, follow up with a second right straight. Just double up on some shots as well. It'll just catch Hakeem out. That was the best. And if you can, get that grappling going. If you Kyle, just get it in close. Get those underhooks. Get Hakeem tiring. Start gassing those arms out. Get him in there, because he is quite well built. And I think if you can get that blood rushing in, just tiring out that body on Hakeem, it could slow him down a little bit, a bit more, help Kyle out to make it a bit more dogged. man, it is an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I think that, see, now you've went Hakeem, it is a tight one because Kyle can just, he's been off on with his fights he's had in the UFC, and he, in theory, if you go with the flow, he should be due a win. And with Hakeem being on home soil, could the pressure maybe get to him being on the main card? Who knows how he handles that? I'll go with Kyle. So, you're going with Hakeem because it is a horrible one to pick. Because literally, if Hakeem is smart, he can just keep Kyle on the end of the strikes and move back all day and cut the footwork angles, and he could easily pick him apart. But then again, Kyle, if he can just get him closed down, chop away those kicks, low calf kicks, double up on the shots, get the grappling going, try to gas Hakeem out, he could get the decision win, make it a dirty decision win, like a split. I'll go Kyle split, tight fight, but I'll go Kyle. So you go Hakeem.
Interesting. Now we're into the kind of meat and potatoes of this part of this kind of fight card, and this is a really, really good fight in the welterweight division. We've got Cowboy Alex Oliveira against Gunny Nelson, who's making his return after, I want to say it's close to a year and a half.
Yeah.
So this is a great fight. Lead us off, John.
Well, Gunny's looking in shape, looking a bit shredded. I don't know though. The problem is he looks good shape. I don't know if he's any bigger than he was. That's the thing, because Gunny literally walks on at 170. Yeah. So that's the thing for me. I think maybe he's just leaned out a bit more, and he's just obviously flush with blood when he did that picture. Who knows? He said he incorporated some CrossFit style training, so expect Gunnar Nelson to have some injuries coming up soon. But that's the question, being out for that long. Watch it, I'm sure his timings are good, but 18 months out, it's got to have an effect on your timings. It's got to have an effect on your kind of fight reactions. Alex Oliveira, ridiculously active. It's just so that's one thing to take into consideration. Stylistically, Gunnar Nelson, as we know, nice wide stance, karate, Kyokushin, just patient man, good counters. I think Alex though is going to do a Ponzi, not poking the eyes, but just an aggressive forward movement to him. Throwing big heavy kicks, throwing the big punches. Alex will probably want to ideally keep it off the ground because Gunnar's a pain in the backside on the ground. Even though if Alex wanted to, he could initiate a takedown and get one on Gunny. Because he showed that, he showed that he's got takedowns in him, Alex, and I think that if he wanted, he could maybe try and get Gunnar down, just to put him on his back, just to, secure points in the round. But I'm just curious to see how Gunny handles the pressure from Alex, because Alex is not going to be standing back. He's just all guns blazing. I think he can be caught though by Gunny. Gunny's got the good footwork, good timings. If he's done his tape study, he could probably find some areas where Alex is catchable with the counters. Man, it's hard to not like Gunnar Nelson because he's such a nice guy. But I'm going to go Alex Oliveira for this. I just think his aggression and the volume of which he will throw, I think it would just not suit Gunnar Nelson. I just don't think he wants that kind of aggression coming at him. So I'm going to go Alex Oliveira. I think I'm going to go crazy, mate. Do you know what? It's my crazy one. I think he's going to stop Gunny. I think he's going to stop Gunnar Nelson. I don't know what round, but I think second round stops Gunnar Nelson. I said it. Dropping the mic. Boom.
Anybody that knows me or has met me knows I'm a massive Gunnar Nelson fan. Big fan. I just like the way. I just think he's a really cool dude. First of all, I love his fighting style. I love the fact that he's got that karate background with lethal jiu-jitsu. And you don't really know what you're going to get from him. That's when you look at his record in the UFC. He's got some really good wins, but he has losses in there. But there are two the top guys in the division. I mean, Maya's a top guy. Rick Story at the time was a tough guy, and Ponzinibbio, that was a little bit kind of unsavoury because I think he did get poked in the eye, but I don't know whether it would have changed the result of anything going forward, because Ponzinibbio looked fast, he looked strong. But like I say, that picture of Gunny that came out over the weekend, the guy looks jacked. I listened to the interview with Ariel earlier on. He says that he feels so much stronger. He's actually doing like physical training where he's putting on muscle mass. And the last time we kind of seen him look like this was against Albert Tumanov, and he came out there and he absolutely starched kind of Albert Tumanov. And Tumanov that time was the kind of next great thing coming through that welterweight division. But when Gunny turns it on, he looks phenomenal. I mean, Brandon Thatch, that combination that he hit him with was so quick. The Tumanov fight that we're talking about, the Joban fight, he kind of hit him with some strikes. He's a very, very low output striker, but he picks his shots really, really well. And then you've got his, like, I don't even need to talk about his jiu-jitsu game, because if he gets you there, I think you're in deep, deep trouble, and he finds his way to submissions very, very quickly and very easily. But I'm also a big admirer of Alex Oliveira. I think he is one of the toughest guys in that division, and he's just a guy you can't take lightly. And he's dangerous. The guy, when you look at his record, the guy stops fights, or he gets stopped. So he's there to be got at, but he's also one that's going to, you know what he's going to do, he's going to come forward, look to tie you up, throw it in the clinch. I think he's very dangerous in the clinch, gets you to the ground. I think that's where you can pick on him though. I think that's where you can get at Alex Oliveira. I think that he leaves some openings. I mean, Carlos Condit, I think, got his back. Obviously, it was going way back. There was the Gilbert Burns where he was clearly winning that fight, and then got caught with an armbar late in the third round on a fight he was definitely going to win. Cowboy beat him via submission, and then there's obviously Jens Medeiros stopped him. But that's the only kind of worry I've got, is that if this stays standing, I think that Cowboy he's so long and languid that he will make this really, really interesting. But I do think Gunnar's got a really good striking game. We don't see all that much of it. If it goes to ground, then I would be very, very uncomfortable being Alex Oliveira, because I think that Gunny, he's just got one of those games that sneaks his way. He kind of fights from position to position, and eventually he's got to where he needs to get you. And once he gets you, you're not going to stop this guy from submitting you. No unless you're of like a Damian Maia kind of type level. I'm going to go Alex Oliveira as well. I think he's got. It's kind of hard me picking against Gunny, because I absolutely love Gunny as a fighter. I think he's just such a different fighter in the UFC compared to your run-of-the-mill kind of striker boxer. He's got just really good karate with his deadly jiu-jitsu. But if he's stronger now, then his takedowns make him easier. I think he has to be careful clinching up with someone like Cowboy though, because I think he can hurt him in the clinch. I just like Alex Oliveira in this one. He's the underdog in this fight, where I think it should be close to a pick-em pretty much. But would it surprise me if Gunny comes out there and gets a submission early on? No. I'm going to go Alex Oliveira to win via a decision in that one there. It's a fight I'm really looking forward to though, and I can't wait for that, because it's the start of 3 fights that are really, really super interesting. I'm going to go Cowboy Oliveira via a decision win there. Okay, on to the 2 title fights. The main event, the vacant UFC Women's Flyweight Championship. Valentina Bullet Shevchenko against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Talk about a really good fight.
Yeah.
And it's not even the best fight in the card. Like, the fight we're going to talk about after this is so sick. But this is a great fight, and this is one that when I heard it, I was excited. I was like, I want to see that fight. They've obviously fought before back in Muay Thai, and people are writing that off a little bit, and I think I can see why they're doing it, because it's different as MMA. But put it this way, I used to play golf, and I know when I beat someone, I was in their head that I could beat them again, and they knew that and I knew that. So Joanna knows that Valentina has beat her at her kind of specialist sport at the time, which was Muay Thai or whatever, and she didn't beat her once, she didn't beat her twice, she beat her 3 times. That can get in the head of fight. I think that's something you have to take into consideration in this fight. And people are saying, oh, it's a different time, that was years ago, and that's true. I'm not taking that away. It's a point that I think needs to be talked about a little bit. But I also think a lot of people are writing off Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think this is the fight she can win. Her betting line, I think, is off because I think she has got a clear path to victory. But she is against a really, really good, solid, well-rounded fighter. And by the way, Valentina Shevchenko is one of the worst corner women I've ever heard ever. She was just as bad as Chookagian last week. She's always shouting, well, Valentina was like woo woo every time that her sister was landing strikes last Friday. That was kind of horrible. I muted the TV at that. So, but when you look at her as a fighter, so solid. Doesn't throw a lot of output, but is very effective with it, and she's very effective everywhere. Her ground game's there. She's got submission. She's got takedowns. And this is against bigger girls as well. People like Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes. She was doing all this, and then there's other fights like Holly Holm where she was completely outstriking her, picking her shots perfectly. She was a massive underdog in that fight. I remember betting and thinking, how is she that much of an underdog here? But getting back to this one, she's coming off that win over Priscilla Cachoeira, which was just a bludgeoning, which was horrible to watch. But I think what she has to do, I think she has to stay consistent on the feet, land some strikes, but I think she has to mix it up. I think if she can grab hold of Joanna, she can get takedowns. Whether she keeps Joanna there is another thing. I think she might be able to pop back up. Obviously, she's the bigger girl. She's going to have the power in those strikes. And we have seen Joanna being hurt by girls that are smaller than what Valentina is. Obviously, not cutting down to 115 is going to help that chin a little bit, but I still think with a well-placed shot that she could put down Joanna and hurt her with it. But when you look at Joanna, her output is staggering, and that's where I think she could maybe win this fight. I think she has to have a really top night if she wants to beat Valentina, but I think she can beat Valentina. I think her output is there where she can win rounds, like close rounds, just with the volume of her striking. And I think that's what she's going to look to do. I think she's going to want to be in, land 2 or 3 shots before Valentina's even throwing anything or looking to grab a hold of something. But that's going to be a tall order to do for 25 minutes. I think she can do it, but I just think that Valentina shows us a little bit more with an all-around game, not just striking. She gets in the clinch, she gets takedowns. Like I say, I think Joanna gets back to her feet, but ultimately I think that Valentina will do enough to win a decision here. And people are saying she's going to win easy. I don't see that in the slightest. I think that's disrespecting a former UFC champion, one of the most dominant UFC champions we've had in years. But I am going to pick Valentina Shevchenko. I was going to pick Joanna, but I just think that Valentina is the better, well-mixed martial artist. She has more tools to her game than what Joanna has, and ultimately I think that wins her the fight and gives her a championship belt, which I think she should have had at 135. Honestly, I thought she was a little bit unlucky not to have the belt up there. So Valentina Shevchenko, probably a 48-47 division.
Look, Valentina should potentially be becoming a champ with this opportunity here. You know, I'm with you as well. I think she won that fight against Amanda. Big point there was, like you said, the output that Joanna can put on in fights. One thing I noticed though, that the way she was able to put that output was when she was the bully, when people were very conscious and defensive. If you look at the Rose fight, she wasn't able to get that kind of high volume output because of the, I don't want to say no fear that Thug Rose had, but I think with this one, I worry that she might not be able to get that high volume because she won't be the bigger person. She won't be the bully, so to speak, because Valentina will be like, well, I've already spanked you for 9 rounds before, so I'll do another 5 of this. It's not a problem. So, like you said, it was a while ago, but even still, Valentina hasn't stopped training. Joanna, I know she hasn't stopped training, but neither party have stopped training. They clearly both increased their skill set, but my worry is, like you said, I think Joanna's skill set is not as open. Like, does Joanna have a good ground game? Not really. I don't know how. I don't know why she doesn't have a great game. Like, Joanna should be spending a lot of time on the ground because she's got such a high volume of skill set in the striking department, she could afford to go and just dominate more time on the ground, you know, and drill more and get more of a skill set so that she's far more dangerous. Valentina has, you know, Valentina is a badass. On the ground, she can wreck your day as much as she, not as much as she can on the feet, but on the ground, she's dangerous. She's shown it. So that plays a factor for me, big factor. I think you take away Joanna's main striking kind of power, which is take away the striking, get her down to the ground. You take away the volume of what she can do. Well, suddenly Joanna's not as dangerous, and then Valentina can just tick off those rounds, you know, pick those rounds apart. I think, like you said, I agree with you. Joanna won't get put out straight away. I think that the extra 10 pounds, big factor on the body, on the brain, on the chin. You know, she did fight Rose again. She didn't get put away, so that's another thing. Maybe it did show that she just got caught in that first one, and her chin hasn't, so to speak, gone, which can happen. And against Tecia Torres, again, her chin held up. So, you know, I think that Shevchenko, though, for me, I think she just might actually get some takedowns in and just, you know, just slow Joanna down a bit. Just let her not have that output. And I think when Joanna does throw a combination, I think Valentina's going to be ready to snap back with a reaction, because when they obviously fought in kickboxing, and Muay Thai, that is the thing you do. You strike back straight away, and I think that's what Valentina will do. She'll counter back to anything Joanna comes out with her. So I'm going to decision as Valentina as well, because I just don't think it's. I love the matchup. I just wish Joanna hadn't lost those 2 fights to Rose. It just kind of in my head. I'm like, damn it. But yeah, mate, I want Valentina decision. I just think she's got size a factor. She's got a ground game. I think on the feet, skill set wise, very, very much equal. Obviously, Joanna's got a bit more of an output, but maybe Valentina might have a bit more of an output, knowing that she's fighting someone who's not 135 or who's going to be a lot bigger than 135. Because you've got to remember, Valentina didn't cut much to do 135, so maybe she might feel a bit more confident throwing out a bit more. But yeah, I'm going to go with Valentina's decision.
Great fight. Looking forward to it. And then I think we're moving on to probably the best fight that we have in 2018. You've got the champion, blessed Max Holloway, 26 years old, against the true number 1 contender in that division, and Brian T-City Ortega, who's 27. Both these guys, mid-20s, prime of their careers, and they're being matched up here. I'm crossing everything to make it to fight night. Such a solid fight. How do you start breaking down the main event and tell me where you're going to go with this? Such a great fight to talk about.
Oh, honestly, I don't think this fight is getting talked about enough, in my opinion. I don't think this fight is getting mentioned enough on social media. I don't think the UFC has promoted this fight enough, in my opinion. This fight is disgustingly fantastic. It's not even fair how good this fight is. Like, let's be honest, no one saw Brian Ortega just go through the ranks like he has. Like, no one saw that coming. Absolutely no one. You can anyone who said they did, they're out their mind. Max Holloway, again, just like lost that decision a long time ago to McGregor, and since then he's been untouchable. He's just been one win after another, just knocking them down like dominoes. You got 2 guys. You know, that's the great thing. That's one of the things. Let's take away the skill set. Let's just look at the fact that the UFC don't always match up the right fights. And look, these guys are just winning. You know, I think Ortega's undefeated anyway, so, but these guys are just on a ridiculous win streak, the pair of them. So that in itself is nice to see. You know, it's almost, you know, boxing-esque where they have the guys who've got those top records. Skill set wise, Max Holloway, kudos to him. He's got a fantastic gas tank. Like, that dude has got, for the volume of strikes and what he throws, to the gas tank that he has is testament to what he does in training. Like, he's a big dude as well, cuts a big weight, and he's still got a great gas tank when he goes in there. Man, that's insane. I love the fact that what he does as well, he doesn't just headhunt. He hits the body. He will go to that basement and he'll, You know, he'll buy himself, you know, water in the basement, as they say. You know, so when the latter rounds come, the opposition will feel it later on. Yeah, so it doesn't headhunt. He's got a hell of a chin on him. He can take a punch. He's good at rolling with the punches, is what a lot of people don't notice as well. Kind of Anderson Silva-esque, where he'll just move with the punch enough so it deflects a lot of the power away. On the feet with Brian Ortega, he's shown actually a higher skill set over each fight. Almost, it feels like, you know, that uppercut of Frankie Edgar kind of sticks in everyone's mind of what's going on. But I think a big factor of that is height. You know, I think Ortega was a lot taller than Frankie Edgar, and that uppercut didn't have to travel as far as it would do if it was, say, Max Holloway. So on the ground, there's not really that's not really conversation. I think Ortega on the ground is just like, oh gosh, disgusting. I want to see him and Gunnar Nelson in a no-gi grappling bout. That's it, end of. Get them on something like Polares or Eddie Bravo, EBI Invitational. Get Ortega and Gunny on the ground now. But the thing is, for Ortega, if you look at his last few fights, they were shorter guys, alright? So he was able to go over, reach over, be a bigger guy. So like with Cub Swanson, he was able to get his arm over the neck, pull him down, being the bigger guy, the taller guy. Max Holloway's taller, you know, he's a bigger dude. Ortega's not going to have that luxury to try and get that kind of choke on or something like that, or leap on top of. It's going to be a bit harder, a bit more difficult. Ortega's shown as well. Holloway's shown as well. When if he does get you down, Holloway, he'll just get straight back up. But nah, let's go back up now. He doesn't stay down. He's very smart. He's got a very good fight IQ. But like, no, let's just stand up and keep striking. Ortega takes too many hits, in my opinion, in fights. Relies too much on his chin. He could definitely shore himself up a bit more with the. He's working obviously with his head movement and his footwork. I still think there's still more work to do on there. He's still developing and growing, and he's nowhere near, I think, his full potential of what he could be. But yeah, I just think Holloway as well. He's got a good accuracy, Holloway. So in this fight, I think one problem Ortega's going to have is the constant kind of bombardment that Holloway's going to offer. That is the problem Ortega's going to face. I think Holloway can stop the takedowns if Ortega wants to shoot, and I think that Ortega's just going to have a problem with how many strikes Holloway throws. It's just going to be not for spits and spurts. It's just going to be almost like a constant flow of strikes. And Ortega, you know, he can take a punch, don't get me wrong, and he can take, but you can't do it for 5 rounds. You just physically can't. It's exhausting, it's tiring getting hit, and that's one of the factors I think that plays into it. I think Holloway's smart enough to keep on the feet. I think Holloway's just got a hell of a kind of flow going with him. I think Ortega on the ground, it's just a match over. I just think if Ortega can get the takedown and get on top, it's going to be a hard day for Holloway. I just don't know how I can see Ortega get Holloway down though. Ortega's usually quite a big. He's a bigger guy, taller guy, but Holloway's the big guy. He's the stronger. He's going to be a hard guy to stop. Man, like, don't get me wrong. There could be any second Ortega can get a submission, jump in, guillotine, anything. But I just don't think Holloway's ever going to shoot for him. I think Holloway's going to be smart. Keep the strikes. Just keep boxing. Just box him. Every now and then throw a cheeky little calf kick, but just box him up. I'm going to go with Holloway. Man, I watched it too. I think Ortega's absolutely going to land on Holloway because he's thrown some good variations of his striking. I just think for Ortega to really get this win, he has to get that to the ground. I think Holloway on the feet is the winner. I'm going to... man, it's so hard to pick. It's horrible. I'm going to go with Holloway. I think Ortega's still got that chin. I think Holloway could... do I want to go TKO Holloway late rounds? Go on. We'll go Hawaii style. I'm going to go Holloway late 5th round TKO. TKO, just abundance of strikes. Just kind of referee has to step in just because Ortega's not fighting back enough. I'll go crazy.
This fight is just like, I'm scared to talk about the fight just in case we get to like Friday.
Just don't interview Max Holloway. End of.
Yeah, and something happens. one thing I think the big thing for me here is what state is Max Holloway in? I think it's a point, and we've seen when they were scheduled to fight back in July. That interview he did with Bisping, that was really bad to watch at night.
Yeah.
Bisping saw that from a mile out that something was wrong, and then there was, I think there was talks of him being concussed during camp, and there was talks of him having a stroke, which is crazy for a kid that's only 25, 26 years old. But that stuff outside the fight game, if Max Holloway shows, if he turns up the Max Holloway that I think he is when he fought Aldo, when he fought Pettis, Lamas, Stevens, you name it, the best guys in that division, then he is a motherfucker to contend with, because he's so fast. He's one of the best guys in the entire sport at making adjustments. He puts more pressure, more pace through every round he goes. He doesn't take a step back with his cardio or his output. It only gets better and better as the fight goes on. I think he's good fighting in close. I think he's even better at fighting the distance and making his adjustments there, and make sure when you come into him, he can pick you off with those fast combinations, get back out and then start pinging you from distance. And he does that so effortlessly. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Effort.
You
know what I'm trying to say.
Effortlessly.
Yeah, that's the word there. John can say I can't, but yeah, and he's just so good with his striking. I think he's got a good ground game himself, but obviously, when you've got someone like Ortega, and he literally needs a second to get a hold of you, and I'd be scared of this guy touching me in the clinch.
Aye.
Because I think he finds a way. I think it was at the Cub Swanson fight. He was landing some shots on Cub, but Cub was definitely outstriking him. And had the better of the kind of early part of that fight for the first maybe 3 minutes, and then Ortega grabs him, and Cub Swanson he did not have an opportunity to get away from that guy. That guy has got a grip on him, took him to the ground, and then obviously had that scramble where he caught a choke, like so quick. Not even funny how quick he caught that choke, and he survived by the bell saved him in that fight. And then the second round, the way he leaped on that guillotine and then he readjusted it is unbelievable. It's one of my favourite submissions of the year. Seeing that, or that was last year actually. But Brian Ortega, I pick against him all the time. I went back and looked at my record. He's got 7 UFC fights. I've picked him to win 4 times, but I've picked him the last 3 times to lose against them, because I thought once this guy, when you look at his early fights, obviously, in the UFC, he had some good fights, like tough fights. Thiago Tavares, Diego Brandão, and he pulled them out with knockout punches, knockout with submissions, knockout knees over Clay Guida. That's something special in the fight. Moicano, I think Moicano is the next in line to face either one of these guys. I think he's such a supreme talent, and he was outboxing Ortega all day long in that fight. Fighting smart by getting takedowns, but is that really fighting smart against someone like Ortega? It turned out it wasn't, because in the third round he shot him, and I'm not kidding you, within must have been 5 seconds he caught him, he's already tapping out.
Easy,
and
yeah.
That guy must have a serious deep choke. But in the last 2 fights against Cub Swanson and Frankie Edgar especially, you can see his hands coming on immensely. I remember his name, I think it's James Gibson, I want to say, the guy who's training his hands. He looks like he's got his fighter doing exactly what he wants, and the improvements that you see with him is crazy. And now he's at force where he's dangerous on the feet, and you don't want to go with this guy. I don't care if you're Max Holloway. Max Holloway wants fuck all with this guy on the ground.
Nah.
Absolutely fuck all with him. And I'd be exactly the same. If he got a hold of me, I'd be pushing, I'd be poking eyes, I'd be chopping balls, whatever it was to get a hold. Because this guy, once he gets a hold of you, you're in deep trouble. But if Holloway, like I said at the beginning of this, if Holloway turns up who I think he is, I think through this fight week it's going to be good to kind of keep a close eye and seeing how he is, see how he looks with his weight. Because I mean, he's been in the UFC for, I think he's like 17th or 18th fight in the UFC. He was there 20, and his first fight was Dustin Poirier, which he got submitted on, which was kind of quite funny considering he's probably facing the best guy submission wise he's ever fought.
He was only a kid, like 20 years old or 19 or something.
Yeah, and he only had like a few fights as well. Like, I'm trying not to write off Brian Ortega. I'm not going to do it, but the guy is so dangerous.
Oh yeah.
I'm like a betting guy, so like me betting on someone, and then any time that could be switched up, and then you'd be like, how the hell did I lose that bet? And that's the kind of thing Brian Ortega can do, and he can do it at any point, because he did it so late on in fights that he could pull that out his arse at any time. He did it, was it 1, 2, 3, 4 fights in a row where he got a stoppage in the third round.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you cannot take your eyes off this guy for 1 second. For me, I'm going to pick Max Holloway though. I think that Ortega is destined to be a champ in the UFC, whether it be 145, 155. I just don't think his time's now. I think that Max Holloway wins this fight, cements his legacy as one of the best featherweights of all time, and then I think it's time to move up, because I think that extra £10, he can't be killing himself to make 145 anymore. He needs to be kind of think about himself, get through this fight, and then move up. And there's plenty of great fights at 155. By the way, I want to see Brian Ortega versus Khabib Nurmagomedov really badly.
Yeah.
I think it's a great fight. But for this fight, I'm going to go Max Holloway via decision. I think he keeps that range for the majority of the fight. I think he's going to have to come through some squally moments in this fight. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to show he's one of the truest champions the UFC has in the entire company, and he wins this one via decision. Like I say, it's going to get squally at times because Ortega is just so dangerous, so dangerous. But Max Holloway is going to be my pick there. So super co-main event, main event, super intriguing, and one of the best ways to kind of finish this year of MMA, head into 2019. So that's our predictions over for this. I'll give you a quick run through of my bets, which I think we're going to go into now.
Yeah.
I've not bet anything. I've got my eye on 3 or 4 different plays. And the first one that I'll talk about is Max Holloway. The betting lines are close for a reason, because it's a close fight, but I still think that he is a superior fighter than what Brian Ortega is across all facets. Well, I can't really say that because his jiu-jitsu probably doesn't. Yeah, I just think he's the better fighter, maybe across all facets. He's got more to his game than what Ortega has, but that's taking nothing away from Ortega. And this is a massive step up against a guy just as young as him, had got more fight experience, fought better guys than what Ortega has over a longer time as well. So I like Max Holloway. He's minus 120, might get to an underdog by fight time. Could very well happen. Alex Oliveira is another one I like. He's an underdog here, and he's like plus 130.
Nice.
I bet heavy on Gunnar last time against Ponzinibbio. That was one of my worst. Actually, I think that was my worst night of bets I've ever had. So that didn't go down. That was in Glasgow, which sucked as well. But I like Oliveira. I think that he's got tools here to beat Gunnar Nelson, and it's hard betting against a fighter I really like in Nelson, but to win bets, you've just sometimes got to go against your gut and your own kind of emotions on a fighter. And I like Cowboy to maybe get a big win here, and especially underdog money. I think it's a great bet to make, honestly. Thiago Santos via knockout is one I'm looking at as well. I think it has to be. I think the line will be a bit high in it, but you could put him in a parlay, I think, as well. It's a little bit of a dangerous one because Manuwa can crack in her as well. And the other one I really liked was Matthew Lopez, big underdog against Brad Katona. I think it's going to be a close fight. If he starts off quick and wins the first round, then I become a little bit more confident in him winning the decision, because I know he can fight close rounds. But there's opportunity here for parlays. I think Charles Leprise is a good parlay piece. Rakić is just too high of a parlay piece in my opinion.
Is
right
he?
Now.
Oh.
So if he was he's like minus 560 or something, which
What?
is huge.
That's huge.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy what one fight can do, because he was a big underdog in his last fight against Ledet, so it's crazy how one fight can really turn everything around.
So if those odds get maybe if they come down, come say Friday, let's say minus 150, 200 or something, it might be a bit more appealing.
I think we'll be lucky if it gets even close to minus 400. If something big has to happen to get down to that.
Damn.
So if it gets minus 200, oh geez, I'll be all over that. I think everybody will be all over that. So so that's kind of where I'm looking at. I think Eryk Anders via knockout might be a good prop bet. Laprise via knockout, I think would be a good bet to make as well, because Diego Lima gets knocked out in these fights quite a bit. So there is definitely options in this fight card, but you have to be careful, especially like I know I went to bet Max Holloway, but it's like this is Brian fucking Ortega who just pulls shit out of his arse.
Yeah.
Time. So I just cannot wait for that fight. Oh my god, it's such a good fight.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with my bets. If you want to get in touch with me or get in touch with John, MMA Huddle, ask what my bets are going to be, and I'll happily give you my bets, what I'm playing. Like I'm not a tout, so you don't have to pay for my bets. That's why I tell you every week that people message me all the time. There's people out there that sell the bets. I'm not going to be one of those guys that does that. I'm always there if you want to speak to me about bets, what I think about bets, this and that. So yeah, I'm looking to kind of finish off this year with a kind of big win, hopefully in these next 2 or 3 events we've got left. 2 great cards to finish off the year: UFC on Fox, the last ever UFC on Fox. Kevin Ali Quinta. Then we've got
the rematch, isn't it? Isn't that a rematch?
Yeah, rematch. Yeah. Rematch where I think Ali Quinta beat Kevin Lee, so it's got kind of a little bit of needle. And then we've got John Jones against Alexander Gustafsson, which is a crazy fight.
Disgusting.
That card is brilliant as well.
Disgusting.
So yeah, that's everything from me. John, have you got anything you want to say?
Thank you
comment, subscribe, obviously.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. Yep.
Is there anything you want to leave us with before?
Tyson Fury got robbed. How's that?
Yeah. Until next week, folks. Hopefully we'll have all our video and everything sorted, and Skype can get the shit together. But until then, enjoy the fights this upcoming week, because it's going to be a good one. All the best and take care.